when we think about the listening styles that we have, there's four major kinds of listeners that are on our team. And how we listen and how the brain processes information can be very different. And so one type of listener is we call a people listener. And in other words, when someone's speaking, they pick up on the human elements of the voice. So a people listener will listen to inflection and tone. Maybe they're being sarcastic, or they'll pick up on emotions. They'll pick up on hesitation or pause. And so they're really good at picking up what's not being said. So maybe they might miss some of the verbal messages, but they'll understand that person's angry, that person's upset, that person's frustrated. And so certain project managers might be really good at hearing and picking up on those sorts of things and being in tune with that kind of listener. The other kind of listener is we call an action listener. And an action listener or an achiever listener is really good at picking up kind of the bullet points. They might miss some of the finer details, but they get the big picture stuff, the takeaways, if you will. So they might lose some of the details, some of the minutia, but they understand that at the end of the meeting, these are the three takeaways that we're supposed to do. They're more action oriented. They listen to respond. What are we supposed to do about this thing? And so they're really good at understanding that. And you might have people on your team that listen that way, and you want to speak to them that way. The third type of listener, what I call the explorer, these are the big picture listeners, and they put things together and they understand the bigger picture. They listen to comprehend or understand. These are sort of the thought leaders, if you will. And so when they're listening to things, they like to make connections between things. And so as they're listening, they're putting things together that other people might be saying. So as I'm speaking, you're thinking about other TED Talks that I've heard or other books that I've heard before. And so these are really more cerebral individuals. They're putting together the big picture. They are the strategists, if you will, right? And so big picture thinkers, big picture listeners. They're making sort of causal relationships between everything. And then the fourth type I call the fixer, and they are really into the details. They get caught up in the words that are being said. They're the proofreaders, if you will. Somebody maybe says the wrong word and they get caught up in that wrong word. They lose the big picture, but they're like, you said that word.
But we're talking about this, only this.
And they might say, you're getting caught up in the weeds here. And you're like, you're losing the big picture. You're getting caught up in the weeds. And they're like, but I can't get past this one thing. And so you really do have four different kinds of listeners when you recognize the different styles, and it allows you to tailor your message a little bit more when you understand people listen differently.